You're starting.
How about that? That's better. Good to see you today. Can we all say forward together? Not one step back. I'm glad today the Poor People's Campaign joining with the A. Philip Randolph Institute and also with AFT and Randy Weingarten, one of the greatest warriors for social justice and for public education in this country. And for all of you, my brother Mumford, we've been in many, many struggles and battles. But we recognize that this year, this election is more than consequential. People say it's the most consequential. I want to suggest that this election is about something called the battle against necropolitics, N-E-C-R-O politics. Necropolitics is the politics of death. Who decides who lives and who dies? It's just that real. We're not just voting for candidates this year. We're literally voting for our lives. And I want to give some example of that. And while we're having this caravan, we're going to be driving through the city and encouraging people to vote, because in North Carolina, we have 17 days of early voting all the way through Saturday. And then election day on next Tuesday. Now, I can't tell you who to vote for, but I can tell on those people who are asking you to vote for them. And so on the one hand, we have a presidential election. We have a president that's trying to take our health care, president who has had an inept criminal-like response to COVID. And now data tells us that tens and tens of thousands of people didn't have to die. And the majority of the people that are dying are poor people, 3 times more likely. And then after that, you have black people and brown people. And you have essential workers who were, before this COVID, they were called service workers. They got a name change, Randy, but they did not get the essentials that they need. We have a president, on the one hand, that is not interested in a living wage. And then on the other hand, you have a candidate that says, I'm running to ensure people have health care, ensure that you have protection from pre-existing condition, because everybody that has COVID will not have a pre-existing condition. A candidate that's saying, I want to raise the living wage to $15 an hour. A candidate is saying that we want to do everything we can to address the issue of COVID. That's the choice. That's the choice we have to make. And how we make this choice will actually have an impact on people living and dying, because even before COVID, one study at Columbia University said that 700 people were dying a day from poverty and low wealth. 140 million people in poverty and low wealth before COVID. And just between May and September, 8 million people fell below the poverty line. That's like 53,533.333 people a day from May to September. This election is about life, and it's about death. In North Carolina, we have a Senate candidate who's current senator. That current senator holds a seat now, presided over the passing of the worst voter suppression law in the history of this state, and some say the worst voter suppression law after Shelby. It took us some 4 years to overturn it, and when the courts finally turned it, they said that it was racism with surgical precision. That same person, when he was Speaker of the House, blocked health care for 500,000 people in North Carolina, refusing to expand Medicaid, the Affordable Care Act. So we went into COVID in North Carolina, Randy, with 500,000 people that could have had health care that didn't have health care. That same senator has decided to vote to try to overturn the Affordable Care Act, even in the midst of COVID. And just last night, that same senator voted for one woman to be put on the Supreme Court, but has not pushed for a stimulus bill that would keep many people out of a casket. The choice is a Senate candidate who's saying, I'm for the Affordable Care Act, and I'm for a living wage, and I'm for restoring the Voting Rights Act. Yes. The choices are about life and death. Yep. This is about necropolitics. And we could go down. North Carolina has we have the choice in terms of our Supreme Court. And also we have the choice, we have to say this, that the president we have, Secretary of Education, wanted to cut public education, yep, undermine public education. The person running for president says, I want to make sure public education has the resources it needs, not only for COVID, but even after COVID. The current senator in our state has been against and trying to cut and defund public education. The person running against him wants to fund public education. These are matters of life and death. And so that's why we're here today. That's why we're going to go all over the city, blowing our horns, asking people to vote, telling them how important and how critical this is. That's why Randy is in North Carolina. That's why Brother Mumford just told me, he said, let me tell you something. If you're not tired this time of year, something wrong. That means you're not working like you're supposed to be working. Where's that? There he is, right there. And he's telling the truth. Now I close with this. The last election, the current occupant of the White House won in North Carolina by 170,000 votes. That's 1,700 votes per county. 920,000 poor and low-wealth people did not vote. They were eligible. If just 19% of those people were to vote, they could outdistance the margin of victory last time. 425,000 African Americans didn't vote. Only won by 170,000 votes. In 15 states right now, from Wisconsin to Mississippi to Florida, if poor and low-wealth people just vote between 1 and 19%, we fundamentally shift who sits in the Senate and who's in the presidency. So my brothers and sisters, this election is truly about voting for life or death. Yes. We must vote for our lives. Yes. We must vote for the life of this democracy. Yes. We must vote for the life of public education. Yes. We must vote for the lives of workers. Yes. We must vote for the life of voting rights. Yes. We must vote for the life of justice in America. Yes. Forward together, not one step back. Would you help me welcome my dear sister and friend, Randy Weingarten, President of AFT.
Do you mind, Rev, that we have Mr. Mumford first, and then Mr. Ingram afterwards, and then I will, fantastic. Look, it wouldn't be an election without me being in fellowship with you.
Glad to be here.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I had about 3 pages planned, but I'm not going to do that to you.
Good, thank you.
See, these APRI folks, they know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
You don't want to put a mic in my hand. You know, I stand before you today on behalf of A. Philip Randolph Institute. I stand on the shoulders of A. Philip Randolph, David Rustin, Norman Hill, and Cleola Brown. On behalf of all of our adult chapters, our LGBTQ chapters, and our youth chapters across North Carolina. You know, Mr. Randolph and Mr. Rustin understood after the passage of the Voting Rights Act, the Civil Rights Act, that a new era was coming in where we not only had to do mass mobilization, but we had to get more involved in electoral politics. And we were created for that purpose. And it's for that purpose that myself and Reverend Barber, we've been in a lot of fights together on voting rights, redistricting, and the works. So our main focus is the voter registration to get out the vote. And Mr. Randolph summed it up on his 90th birthday in 1979 when he made the statement that if we retreat from politics, that it will create an era of crude conservatism and social defeatism.
That's right. That's right.
And I say to you that are here today, that's exactly what we've seen in North Carolina since 2010.
That's right.
When a bunch of crude conservatives, I'm going to try to keep it C3, brother.
That's right.
When a bunch of crude conservatives took over our legislative building.
No, no.
Before they even got warm in the seats, they took away social benefits like our earned income tax credit.
That's right.
They refused to pass Medicaid expansion. I don't know if they didn't understand it, but the federal government don't make money. That's our money that they sent back to us.
Right.
But they refused to do it. That's what you call being crude.
True.
Crude conservatism.
True.
Okay? And social defeatism, our youth, our young adults can't afford to go to college. If they do, they got to pay 20, 30 years to pay the college debt. These people have destroyed our school system. They don't even buy books for the schools. We have to get them on loan from some other states. So that is what I call crude conservatism. They are doing things and have done things that were not necessary and were just not right.
Right.
Just because they could.
Right.
They got drunk with power, and it's time we take that power away from them.
Take it back, take it back, take it back.
You know, in studying history, I kept running across the word republic. So I looked for a definition of the word. And in a republic, the supreme power belongs to the citizens and the voters.
That's right. That's right.
And we exercise that power in the people that we elect and the people that they appoint to serve us. I think it's time in North Carolina that we exercise that right
That's right.
and get rid of some of these crude conservatives, all of them.
Get them gone.
Okay? Now, I'm almost done.
Totally fine. Take your time.
You know, Mr. Randolph said that justice is never given, it is exacted. It means you got to take it.
That's
That's
right.
right. That's right.
And the fight can't be one election. It's got to be every election.
Everyone.
Because our enemies are not going to stop fighting.
Nope.
We can't stop fighting.
Nope. Won't stop.
We got to keep fighting for environmental justice,
Yep.
for social justice, for
Yes.
jobs, for health care for our kids.
Yes.
Because one of our beliefs is that the first step, a decent and good paying job, is the first step to social justice. Now, I grew up in a union household. Me and my wife both had good union jobs, and we retired well, and we had health insurance, and a lot of things that a lot of other people in this state don't have, and we're fighting to get it for them.
Right.
That's right.
We got a right to clean air and clean water.
Yes.
That's
In
right.
the state of North Carolina, our Constitution gives us the right to a decent education.
That's right.
So we got to take care of these people that have, for some reason, think that we don't have that right anymore. Okay. And here's what I want people to do, particularly our young people that haven't voted yet. One of our co-founders, Bayard Rustin,
Woo-woo.
he teaches us that the measure of what a person believes is in action. So if you believe that we got to take our state back with them crude conservatives, if you believe that we got to get about the business of helping all people and working people, if you really believe that, then I want to see what action you take, because that's going to tell us whether you really believe or not. Forget about this thing about saying politics don't matter. If anybody's saying that after this election, I don't know what you've been listening to.
That's right.
So, thank you for the time. And vote.
Don't vote.
Conservative.
Thank you, Mr. Mumford. Thank you, Reverend. And of course, let's give a round of applause to our president, Randy Weingarten from the AFT. North Carolina, we can do better than that. Is North Carolina in the house? One more time, is North Carolina in the house? Is it a good day to vote? Is it a good week to vote? Is it a good year to vote? Then we gotta do what? Go vote, go vote, go vote, go vote, go vote, go vote. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor to be here to represent 1.7 million members of people who take care of your children every day, who take care of your health care every day, who are public service workers all over this nation, who are fast and strong retirees, and we stand on their shoulders because they did it a lot longer than I have. This election is about life or death. You've heard that. But let me just tell you some life or death. There are 4 little girls that are screaming at us right now to go vote from the 16th Street bombing. Medgar Evers is screaming at us right now because he wants us to do what? Go vote. There are some people who rode the bus in Selma called Freedom Riders, and they are screaming at us right now, including John Lewis. They are screaming at us right now to do what? There are some people who have water hoses and dogs at their ankles. They are screaming at us right now to do what? There are some people who did not have an opportunity to be educated in our public schools. They are screaming at us to do what? Listen, ladies and gentlemen, what else would you rather do? This is history in the making. Where else would you rather be? As crazy as the world is, history is going to be written with you or without you. But they will write that history. And people will ask the question, what did you do when your grandkids grow up? And they said in 2020, when the world was spinning around the other way, Granddaddy, Grandmama, what did you do? Did you vote? Did you get out there and rally? Did you say something? Did you speak truth to power? You want to be the ones to do that. I am so encouraged by young people. Let me say this. If you march for Black Lives Matter, if you march for the Women's March, if you march for LGBTQ rights, you are on the right side of history. But now we've got to turn that activism into not only speaking out, but at the ballot box, you stand up. That's what you do. And if we don't turn that activism into speaking out and standing up, then November 3rd is going to be on the wrong side of history. Get out to the ballot box. 2 things I'll leave you with. Our democracy is being tested in ways that are unimaginable. We have a president that every time you think we get to the end of the road, Reverend, he creates another road to go the wrong way. We're not here to tell you who to vote for, but we are telling you that honor and truth and justice and people who are on the side of right is on the ballot on November 3rd. And you have a chance to put your mark on this democracy. And the last thing I will tell you is this. There will be no normal. Normal does not exist anymore. You are not going to go to sleep tonight and wake up yesterday. You're going to go to sleep tonight and wake up tomorrow and the next tomorrow and the next tomorrow. You have to create the future that you want. Each and every one of us have to walk the same walk every day. North Carolina, you all have been doing it behind this man's movement. Let's give Reverend Barber a big round of applause. But now we've got to multiply those efforts, and you're doing it every day. Look at what's happening at the ballot boxes already. But you've got to do like any runner. You've got to run through the tape. You've got to not stop until we finish the race. You have got to go all the way. And so I'll leave you on behalf of Randy Weingarten, our AFT president, Evelyn DeJesus, our vice president, the 1.7 million members that we represent. It is our honor to be here in North Carolina. But it's going to be a greater honor to know that A. Philip Randolph Institute stood behind. And I'm going to just give myself a big shout out. I'm going to tell you why. Because A. Philip Randolph is my homeboy. He's from Florida. And that's where I'm from. And the one thing I know about A. Philip Randolph that he told us is that nothing matters except pressure, 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 and more pressure. And the only pressure that we can give these folks through November 3rd is to go vote. Thank y'all very much. I appreciate it.
Okay, you know, I don't want to go after all of them,
You got it, you got it.
but I will.
All right.
Every election that I have had the honor to know this bishop, we, as our labor union, have tried to make sure that we get to and through North Carolina with this bishop in his journey with the Poor People's Campaign, NAACP, A. Philip Randolph Institute. And frankly, with all of us with our masks on, knowing what the stakes were this time, we weren't going to miss that pathway now. We weren't going to miss that journey now. And you'll see, we're in this big bus. We're going to be caravanning with all of us. And that bus has gone from California all the way east to Pennsylvania and New Jersey. And now we're going all the way south to Florida. 30 days, 14 states in this journey for justice. This journey that Reverend Barbara and Reverend Liz have taught us over and over again. And why? Fed, Secretary Treasurer, has been with us, much of that. Our Executive Vice President, Evelyn DeJesus, who, by the way, had COVID, almost died, has been with us through this. We are making this walk for justice safely and with our masks on because we know wearing a mask actually helps keep other people safe.
That's right. That's right.
Be good if the president actually knew that instead of surrendered to this virus. Why North Carolina? Why with Reverend Barbara? Why are we caravanning? You know this better than I do. Because every step we take is one step forward. Every step we take stops taking a step backwards. Every step we take, regardless of struggle, regardless of challenge, is a step for justice and opportunity. And why do we need justice and opportunity right now? Now more than ever. We heard last week, we know how many people were in poverty before COVID. We know how many people could not put $400 together in an emergency before COVID. 40% of America pre-COVID could not put $400 together.
That's right.
40%. Donald Trump talks about the stock market a lot. 40% of the people in America are in the stock market. You know how many people don't have a pension anymore?
Wow.
60%. You know how many black and brown people don't have money in their bank accounts for a pension anymore? 60%. Do the math. That's before COVID hit. And now, 8 million more people have slipped into poverty. I would argue they've been kicked into poverty.
That's right.
And now, millions of people, 19 million people still don't have a job because of what has happened in terms of COVID. And what has happened with those who are privileged enough to be rich? Those who are so privileged like a Jared Kushner, that he doesn't understand the struggle of black and brown people? He hasn't walked in those shoes. Millions of dollars. $500 billion has been made by the richest amongst us in this country, while 8 million more people are in poverty, 19 million people who are unemployed, who don't want to be unemployed, want to have a job, and the Senate of these United States rushed to do a Supreme Court justice rather than the COVID stimulus that our kids need, that our unemployed need, that small businesses need, that our states need. That's why I'm in North Carolina today. How dare the president be in Lansing, Michigan today, where the university has just closed the campus for 2 weeks because of COVID. And in that same university, there is the president, maskless, with thousands of people maskless, in a place that already is riven with COVID. As the Reverend said, that's a death wish. That's reckless. You are the President of the United States. Your job is to keep people safe, not to do what you are doing. That's why I'm in North Carolina today. Students, parents, how many of them all across the country are worried about what it will mean if their kids go to school in person? And then they're worried about what does it mean if their kids don't go to school in person. How dare the president and Betsy DeVos not have guidance or resources for the kids in America? That's why I'm in North Carolina today. How many grandparents have not been able to see their grandchildren? How many people have not been able to go to funerals of loved ones? How much more of this is to be taken? Instead of fighting the virus, the president fights the scientists. Instead of creating hope, the president creates fear. Instead of creating opportunity and fairness, he creates division. We can change this. We can change all of this. But it requires us to vote, and to vote in numbers like we've never voted before. You know that, and I know that. The question becomes, everybody here, and everybody who's going to be in that caravan, I'm sure we've already voted, right? This is a promise I need to make. Do you care about science over fiction? Yes. Do you care about hope over fear? Yes. Do you care about fairness over despair? Yes. Do you care about community over chaos? Yes. Do we want to change America to make it fairer and to make sure that people live and that families become preeminent again? Yes. Then will you get one more person to the polls? Yes. Will you get 2 more people to the polls? Yes. Will you get 3 more people to the polls? Yes. Will you get 5 more people to the polls? Yes. And then will we make sure we take these streets so we count every vote? Yes. Because the will of the people must be paramount. Will we do that? Yes. Will we make sure that every vote is counted? Yes. So, if we get out of vote to vote, and we make sure every vote is counted, we will win on election day, and we will turn this around.
Yes.
Woo-hoo! Go vote!
Okay.
Go vote! Woo-hoo!
What are our instructions?
Go vote! Go vote!
I'm waiting on
vote!
Okay, folks, so we're just going to walk right down this way, not even a full block, right to where the cars were parked before. And as our speakers just